Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
Let's get to the Cowboys here real quick. Hey, Bob, anything else before we get there?
No, we're good.
All right, cool. Cowboys lost yesterday 34-6 to the Eagles. Cowboys are 3-6, their worst record since 2020. This team is just bad, man. This team is just
said.
really bad. The defense had some moments, tried to keep them in it.
Dak said it best on the sidelines last week.
Can suck. They're just bad. They don't have the depth to keep up with a lot of other teams. Their defensive scheme gets worn out quickly. Don't have the bodies down low to keep up with the constant pounding of teams like the Ravens and the Eagles. Their offense is horrible. They haven't scored a touchdown at home since September 22nd. That's a long time ago. Yeah. They consistently are getting blown out at home. I just don't know what else we can say about this team just as a whole, not to mention the antics after the game when they speak into microphones.
Well, here's the thing is they're going to look back and say, oh, it's a wasted season because Dak got hurt. No, they were really bad before Dak got hurt.
Jerry said something to that effect yesterday, too. They were just like, what do you compare this offense and this team with as compared to when Dak was here? And he's like, well, we were 3-5 with Dak. So,
yeah.
Chuck?
Yeah, I mean, that's what stood out to me as well. It was, you can point to Dak wasn't there. You can point to this guy wasn't here. You can point to the sun in the eyes or whatever it is that we're going to blame the next thing on. It's bad from top to bottom, from stem to stern. And, yeah, hats off to the defense for keeping them in the ball game for the first half. But at some point when you're on the field that long for that amount of time, you're eventually going to wear down. I don't know that there's any place on the field other than their kicker's gotten a little better from his greatness from last year that you can say that they're better from where they were last year. This is a bad team stem to stern.
I mean, and the game yesterday could have changed at the end of the first half. Ezekiel Elliott fumbles into the end zone. That's a turnover when you're on, first and goal, second and goal, something like that. Your defense gets the ball back for you. You get it 1st and 6, and on 2nd and 6, there's a incident where CeeDee can't see the ball that would have hit him directly in the chest because of the sun.
You have 2 possessions inside the 5-yard line, and you come away with 3 points. I mean, that's just inexcusable.
Yeah, and the Giants know a lot about that yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. That's where the game was won and lost. And, if they make a play, if they get into the end zone, some way, somehow take the lead, it changes everything. And, again, how many times did we see yesterday, too? It's 3rd and long, and they're doing 2-yard pass plays. It's like at some point you've got to get the ball down the field. And I realize you might be 0 for 6 or 0 for 7, whatever it was, throwing the ball past 10 yards. But, I mean, again, it was just bad.
That was the case with Dak, too. When Dak was in, this year they haven't really gone downfield. And maybe, that says if you take CeeDee away, they don't have another downfield threat. That's maybe that when they went out and got Mingo. I don't know. But they can't make pass plays more than 5 yards.
I want to talk a little bit more about the play that we were just talking about where CeeDee couldn't see the ball.
Chuck's going to love this.
I know. Second and goal, Cooper Rush. You can throw that up there. Thank you.
Don's going to listen to me again today.
2nd and goal, Cooper Rush drills a ball to CeeDee Lamb for would have been an easy touchdown, would have given the Cowboys lead. Instead, Lamb lost it in the sun because of the windows that you're seeing that are at AT&T Stadium. The thing that grabbed the headlines was this, because CeeDee visibly said he couldn't see the ball because of the sun. And this is the Cowboys' home stadium, $1 billion stadium with huge windows that has been a problem since they built it in 2009. Chuck, do you want me to read the Jerry Jones quotes, or do you want to go first?
Go ahead and do what you want. I'll sit this one out until I have to get in, or I'm just compelled to get in.
All right. So Jerry, after the game, was asked about the curtains, maybe putting up some curtains to cover up the windows so the sun doesn't get in the eyes of their players when they're trying to catch touchdowns. And a frustrated Jerry Jones had some comments about that. He said, quote, "By the way," and I couldn't find the audio. I tried to find the audio, and it's not around. I think they cut it out of actually because I looked at the feed on. Do you want to read this in Jerry's voice?
No.
I couldn't find the sound.
Certainly. By the way, we know where the sun is. We know where the sun's going to be when we decide to flip the coin or not. We do know where the damn sun's going to be in our own damn stadium.
Why not put up curtains over the windows, Jerry?
Well, let's just tear the whole damn stadium down and build another one. Are you kidding me? Everybody's got the same thing. Every team that comes in here has the same issues. I'm saying the world knows where the sun is. You get to know that almost a year in advance. Somebody asked me about the sun. What about the sun? Where's the moon?
That was good. I think that made this a lot better. So then,
I didn't have enough certainty.
We get to break out this premise once a year. I guess that's why I'm tired of it, right? It's going to rear its head. So they catch the touchdown there. That team, that was a bad effort yesterday. They're going to lose that game anyway. So if we got to blame it on Jerry again and the stadium again, I'll just put it to you like this. What the hell did we do playing football before there was ever stadiums built in the first place? Did you ever have to deal with the sun? Javi, you're a baseball guy. Did you ever have to deal with the sun when you're playing sports? I mean, what? I just don't get out of the blue why all of a sudden, because there's sun in a guy's eyes, and it's not like that's the only time that the sun has come in to that stadium. It's like, I just don't get this. This is like the weakest excuse for whatever you want to hang, didn't make a play or whatever.
All valid points.
It didn't help that CeeDee said this after the game.
No, I know what he said. And that's what made me mad.
That play with you and Ferguson, a little bit of miscommunication.
Couldn't see the ball at all.
Was the sun?
The sun. What?
In favor of cones.
Yes, 1,000%.
You talked to Barry about that.
I mean, y'all doing my job right now.
Y'all doing my job right now, just because he hasn't talked to Jerry about it yet. He's letting us do it for him.
It's an excuse for not getting there. I don't know. The thing that struck me was the interaction on the sideline that the cameras caught between McCarthy and CeeDee, and you could see he was explaining himself, and McCarthy just had this look on his face like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, we're using this as an excuse to not make a play. I mean, again, you didn't make the play. You may have lost the sun, the play in your eyes with the sun, but to sit there and make this worse than what it was, or to deflect where the attention is, which is, this is a bad team. Now, okay, we're going to scapegoat this into the sun was in my eyes. They need to rip the building down or put curtains up at the very least. I mean, come on.
Why not put up curtains though?
Yeah, Chuck, everything you said is 100% accurate, right? But two things can be true. They can be a really bad team, and the sun could not be responsible for either the play or them losing the game. That's true. But this can also be true if you put up the curtains that they already own that they use for concerts and other things.
WWE put them up.
Right. So that it's not an issue, then both teams are better off. Just like the reason they started building dome stadiums in the first place in cold weather places is so that you can have a more
so you get more fans coming to cold weather games or not have to worry about weather canceling games.
And you get a more true outcome of the game because conditions were not necessarily a factor.
Here's also
like whether it's a rain game and guys are more.
Well, like when you're receiving a punt, there are lights in the stadium up on the ceiling. I mean, you don't think that the guy with the punt that's fielding the punt has to look at the lights?
The lights aren't directly above them; they're on the sides.
It depends on where you catch the ball. There are lights all over the stadium, and there's scoreboards, and there's all kinds of other things that you could say, well, I lost it in the Jumbotron.
Looking into the lights is different than looking into the sun.
I mean, again, to me, this is you're acting as though the sun isn't in play for both teams. It's just CeeDee Lamb on this one play, or just the Cowboys. Why is it always the Cowboys?
I think to that, but to that point,
it's in play for both teams.
But to the point is,
but make it better.
You're supposed to have a home field advantage at your home stadium, and the fact that Jerry is saying, well, we've been playing here for 15 years. It comes into play for both teams. We know what side the sun's going to be on. Like, yeah, but you're supposed to give your own team an advantage when you're at home and not putting up the curtains that your players want to.
Or is he mad that McCarthy knows which way to go and he didn't?
Well, that's not going to be a concern after this year anyway. McCarthy's a dead man walking.
But he's saying we know where the sun's going to be. It's the same thing.
I mean, it could be. He could be blaming the coaching staff for wanting to.
But again, so then maybe that's part of the factoring too. I just think that this is this is much ado about, I can't believe what we're going here again. We do this every year with the sun through the windows. Let's concentrate on the problems. There are many that this team has. To think that we're going to scapegoat the building again.
All right, let me get you
Jason
another.
Garrett, it was an issue with 10, 12 years ago with Jason Garrett too. And so had they fixed it at the time, this wouldn't be a scapegoat because he would have either caught the ball or not. They would have won or another loss. But I think it's maddening to fans, especially if I was a season ticket holder and I had to be there for a 325 game sitting at that end of the stadium. I mean, the lead referee was standing behind the play, not that play, but another play going the other way, where he's, they always stand behind the quarterback, where he has his white baseball cap down and he's actually like this.
Mm-hmm.
Then get some sunglasses. I mean, what's the problem?
Wear sunglasses inside. It's a new fashion statement.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something else said after the
Yes,
game, then, Chuck. Let's get to something else. So the other thing I wanted to get to is what Micah said after the game.
Yes,
You'll get to the full. I'm going to play the full question, or at least what we had with the mic that was right by her, and his answer, so we get the full context of it. So, Javi,
what's the sentiment inside the locker room, and what do you tell people who are wondering about whether McCarthy will be your coach next year?
That's above my pay grade about if Mike is coaching again next year. But all coaching aside, Mike can leave and go wherever he wants. But guys, I kind of feel bad for guys like Zach Martin and guys who might be on their last year or on their way out, because that's who I wanted to hold the trophy for. You want to win games and do great things with those type of legends who put in more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did. So those are the kind of guys that I have so much sympathy and hurt for.
see, he was doing so well until he got to like that 30-second mark when he said those guys put in so much more work than Mike McCarthy ever has. Like you were making a very valid point up until then. You were saying, I don't really care what happens with Mike. I play for the guys in this locker room. I play for the Zach Martins, the DeMarcus Lawrences of the world, the guys who have never won a championship and they're trying so hard and they've done for so long. They might retire. It's all for them. And then when you say they've worked harder than Mike McCarthy ever has, you just open yourself up to so much criticism because that's a horribly blasphemous statement. Coaches are there 12, 15 hours a day. There was a time, and Nathaniel Hackett is not someone that I love, but he was sleeping in his office to try and figure out what the hell they can do to try and turn around the Broncos offense from a couple of years ago. Like, the coaches put in the time and they put in the effort. And he had didn't he have a heart attack last year, Mike McCarthy? Like, he had the heart procedure last year when they were on their winning streak. Like, because of the stress of the job that he's under. You're going to say that Mike McCarthy doesn't work as hard as some of the players? I guarantee you he works harder than most of them.
It's a different kind of work.
It's a different kind of work, but it's just like to say that about your head coach is not something that's okay.
And I agreed, and because of what he said, he will take a lot of criticism and should. However, I'm anxious to hear the podcast today because I think, knowing Micah and what Micah says, there's a difference between what Micah said and what Micah meant. And I don't think he meant that his coach doesn't either work hard or he can.
We do this so often, though. Like,
I know.
Say what you mean then. Don't just say crap to say crap.
Well, he said, a couple weeks ago when they were talking about Trayvon and he got into the thing with Mike Leslie.
Who was in that? Who was in that, by the way? He was from.
He's like, our media staff. And he meant the people who cover us, but they look at it as they should be working for us. I don't know that these young guys have a full understanding of what Mike McCarthy does, and I don't think there's any animosity towards Mike McCarthy. It's a great headline for Cyber Bob for the website that says, Parsons, Mike McCarthy can leave and go wherever he wants.
Thanks,
But
Don.
really, he meant, Coach McCarthy's probably going to get fired. He'll go on. Life will be fine for him. But I feel bad for Zach Martin because he's never going to want to.
He was making a good point until he got to the last part.
Yeah.
Don Harris wants Cowboys coach fired.
Yeah.
I think
you can print that, by the way.
it's hard to know exactly, what we can read into what he said, but taking what he said on the surface, I just think that the correlation he made between the hard work and even if he meant, football players put in way more hard work in terms of their bodies and the physicality and all that other stuff, but it does, I think, speak to probably a deeper problem, which is he's probably at the root of who he is, doesn't respect his head coach.
I think, and to your point of the guys misspeaking sometimes, not really saying what they mean, this team misspeaks an awful lot then. Like, there's some deep-rooted truth behind some of the words that they're saying, and because it seems like every week, obviously Jerry's more frustrated than he's been in years. Something spouts off after every game.
Tear the whole damn stadium then down.
I mean, he does something like that every week now. But when you have these kinds of outbursts, for lack of a better term, there's definitely some truth to what they're saying.
I'll find somebody else to ask me these damn questions.
Yeah.
And I think, too, this team is in front of a microphone more than any team on the planet.
True.
So things are going to get out, and we're going to, Monday morning scatter shoot all this stuff the next day. And I think you've said it best, right? Sometimes they're more interesting when they lose.
Yeah, for sure.
Because this is what you're going to get now for this slow march towards the end of the season. But, the bottom line is this is a really bad football team. And you look at these scores lately, home or wherever, they're bad. It's just they're not even competitive.
Last thing real quick. Trey Lance got into the game yesterday. Didn't move the needle at all. Does he start the rest of the season? Or should he start the rest of the season? Like, they're 3-6. They're not out of it, I guess.
Not yet. Another 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not right now. And, maybe do what they did. They did have some packages for him. Looked like most of them were running packages. But, I don't know what you do. I mean, is Trey Lance going to, infuse all this energy into a team that's – where are they good at?
Tim Tebow did that once upon a time.
Yes, but this team is – I mean, again, can you name me somebody that's playing right now on their defensive line? I think their corners are good. The linebackers are okay.
See when they get Deron Bland back.
They got 88, but he loses balls in the sun. What do you do at quarterback? Offensive line's in flux. I mean, where do you turn for, or where do you turn to for hope at this point?
Just tank for a better draft pick at this point. Why not?
Maybe.
You're going to have to be worse than the Giants, though, and they're bad.
Their defense is at least pretty good. At least you can say that about them.
All right. Well, that's all we got for you today on Sneakers and Cleats, unless Bob has anything he'd like to say.
We're good to go.
All right. Thank you once again to all the veterans out there. Happy Veterans Day to everybody. Hopefully, everyone has a good day on that front.
Yes, sir.
That's all we got for you today on the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. Remember, download, rate, review, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, tell a friend, tell an enemy. We will be back on Thursday at our normal accustomed time with no more high school or TNL. So we will be back at 1 o'clock every Thursday from now on. See you then.
Reminds me of that great Bill Mercer Chicago Cubs story.
Clear.
Harry Carey. Here's a pop-up to right field. Harry Carey. Ortiz is under it. Jesus Christ. He's claiming he lost it in the sun. For Christ's sake.
Don't shut down yet. I got to record.
He'll lose the ball.
I'm just going to use it as my audio to record it.
For Christ's sakes, he's from Mexico.
I never heard that.
Yeah, there was apparently a McDonald's breakfast game every year where they gave a bunch of free tickets to little kids, and they played it at 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning at Wrigley. So Harry would just sleep in the press box from the night before because he was hungover. And he was always in a bad mood, and there was a pop-up to right field, and he's like, there's a pop-up to right. Ortiz is under it. Jesus Christ, he dropped it. He's claiming he lost it in the sun. For Christ's sakes, he's from Mexico.
Never heard that before.
All the cuts over at iHeartRadio.
It's a lot.
Huh?
It's a lot. Use the
Thousands.
recycling bin outside the door.
But Joe Pags got fired.
Yeah, wasn't he with 19 years with OAI?
Yeah, good for them. He's a fucking asshole.
Okay. All right, you ready? Is he? All right. Let me make sure I'm not going over my time here. All right. Can you lower your speaker real quick? 3, 2, and 1. Hi, Matt Roy here. Join Don Harris, Chuck Miketinac, and I every week for Sneakers and Cleats, Spurs, Cowboys, and more. Between us, we have 60 years of 3, 2, 1. Between us, we have over 60 years of experience covering sports in San Antonio, and we cover all the big topics. We're all over the San Antonio Spurs and generational superstar Victor Wembanyama. We take a close look at the always interesting Dallas Cowboys and a deep dive on all the area high schools and colleges. It's Sneakers and Cleats, Spurs, Cowboys, and more. Follow us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll do it one more time for safekeeping. 3, 2, and 1. Hi, Matt Roy here. Join Don Harris, Chuck Miketinac, and I every week for Spurs. 3, 2, and 1. Hi, Matt Roy here. Join Don Harris, Chuck Miketinac, and I every week for Sneakers and Cleats, Spurs, Cowboys, and more. Between us, we have over 60 years of experience covering sports in San Antonio, and we cover all the big topics. We're all over the San Antonio Spurs and generational superstar Victor Wembanyama. We take a close look at the always interesting Dallas Cowboys and a deep dive on all the area high schools and colleges. It's Sneakers and Cleats, Spurs, Cowboys, and more. Follow us on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.